Welcome to another episode of TechXY Turbo. My name is Frank Gullo, and I am your host. On this episode of TechXY Turbo, we're joined by Lena Levine, CEO of Forcoda and managing partner at Forcoda Ventures. Over the past 15 years, Lena has built a reputation for helping both startups and enterprise companies design, launch, and scale software products that customers love and investors fund. She's worked with major brands including Oral-B, Shake Shack, Central Park Conservancy, Chobani, and M&T Bank. Today, through Forcoda Ventures, Lena focuses on early and growth stage startups looking to enter the U.S. market, raise capital, and scale, connecting tech ecosystems between the U.S. and Australia. Lena, it's so great to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us all the way from Australia. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Frank. I'm excited to be here. Doing well.
Great. Lena, as you know, TechXY is a technology podcast, so let's start with your tech backstory. You've built a career spanning web development, UX and UI design, full stack development, and now strategic product development. How did you first get into tech, and how has your relationship with it evolved from building e-commerce sites in the beginning to leading enterprise software projects for Fortune 500 companies?
Thank you. That's a great question. So my background is in technology. I come in from the family of engineers, so I was born into tech. I started learning to code since I was 12 with Microsoft Basic. And then when in Russia, I got a master's in computer science degree. And after when I moved to the US in 2009, I also studied digital media. And right out of college, I got a job at Yahoo in Western New York, which where I learned that corporate career is not for me. And I shifted into more working with smaller businesses, I was working for a small web dev studio. And from there, I shifted into doing my own thing through freelance and consulting. And this is where I discovered passion with working directly with businesses, solving complex design and technical problems, and having that direct impact on customer businesses and helping them to grow. I found it extremely rewarding. So from that point, that passion turned into full-time business called Forcoda, which I've been running for the last 11 years, which evolved from me being a solo entrepreneur to have a team of designers, developers, project managers. We have an amazing CTO with 30 years of experience in machine learning and AI. So it's been a really amazing journey. And through that experience with running the business, I had a pleasure with working with national level brands like Oral-B, Shake Shack, Central Park, M&T Bank, and also various technology startups that we help the founders to take the ideas and turn them into the fully functional products that they used to raise funding and scale their businesses, hire the teams, and turn them into successful products, which I'm happy to be part of their success journey. And this year we also launched the venture arm of our business called Forcoda Ventures, and which I'm doing with my business partner, Gazelle. And this is where we're leveraging our expertise in technology, go-to-market strategy, scaling businesses internationally to help startups in the US to scale. And also we're working with international startups such as in Australian markets. This is where I am right now at the moment. And we're helping them to enter the US market, expand there, establish the presence, and raise money from US investors as well.
Thanks so much for that. Sounds like a technology and global journey for you.
That's part of my plan of taking over the world.
Excellent. So you specialize in full stack development for SaaS and mobile. What does your tech stack look like for typical projects these days? How do you make tech decisions that balance speed to market, scale, and long-term maintainability, especially for non-technical founders who may not understand all of the trade-offs?
So it really depends on the type of the project. So if we are working on complex enterprise level solutions, let's say web applications, our tech stack is React Node.js with AWS or Google Cloud on the backend. And if we're working with startups that looking to validate the ideas quickly, which is one of the areas that we specialize in, helping startups to build something that customers want and need. So what we currently using on that side for the fast idea validation, we switched to using no-code tools to speed up the development time and add more efficiency to our processes. And for quick MVP validation, we've been using tools like Replit for mobile app development and Lovable for web-based apps to reduce the development time on MVPs from several months to just several weeks.
It's a great answer, and you said a lot there. So I want to unpack in some future questions. So thank you for that. Starting with your clients, which have secured over millions in funding through campaigns grounded in your strategic and design frameworks. So, Lena, what is the connection between great UX, UI design and fundraising success? And what are investors looking for when they talk to you when they evaluate project design?
So great design is not just beautiful picture, like many people may think. Design goes beyond the looks, but it also about how users interact with application, the product, whether it's easy to use, whether it makes sense to the users, because at the end of the day, that's the key components and key factors that can distinguish good or bad product from the great one. Because if the product that customers are using and trying for the first time, if it's confusing, if things are not working as expected, or buttons in the wrong places, if users have a bad and confusing experience, they might not return to the product, which is crucial for early stage founders that are trying to get those customers to try and use the products. So making sure that founders and startups focusing on great design from day one is extremely important these days. And with the advance of different AI tools and tools like Figma that has powerful design capabilities, companies really have no excuse to not focus on a great design. So, and that's one of the things that investors are interested in. They want to see how well product is performing, how well users are adapting it, whether they're using it daily, spending a lot of time on the application. And besides user adoption rate, investors are also focusing on growth rate, right? How many users are joining the platform on a daily basis, and how much revenue platform's generating, which again starts from that the design and user experience. Because if users are not sticking to the platform, then all the other metrics are going to fall off as well.
Great. So you said revenue. That's a great term. I hear that a lot. And you shared a case study where the client was approximately $2 a month, and you show them going to tens of thousands in annual recurring revenue per customer. So what design changes enabled that kind of revenue leap, and what was broken before you introduced the change?
So with this client, what we help them with is repositioning the business model and identifying the right customers for their platform. Initially, when they build their app, they were focusing on individual users. So it was a direct-to-consumer platform that was focusing on aging population with the goal of helping them to provide additional value and services to help with that end of the life transition, which as we conducted extensive customer interviews and market research, we spoke with people in the healthcare industry, people within that aging population, caregivers, family members, only to discover that even though the problem exists in the market, actual users and the potential customers do not want to admit to themselves even that there is a problem. So that made it very difficult for the business to scale and acquire potential customers. And what we've done, we repositioned their product to be more aligned with insurance companies that also see that problem with aging population, where the cost of healthcare are going up because people might not be going to the doctors as often, or maybe doctors don't always even understand the needs of that demographic. So, but by partnering up with insurance companies and providing the same product and services, we were able to deliver the product to the hands of the end users through the trusted channels like insurance companies that people already knew and trusted, which helped to position business model from switching to business, B2B, and increasing that, sales size from of the license from just, a couple dollars per month, right, to selling platform over $100,000 in licenses per year.
Thank you. That's a great illustrative example. Sounds like design meets research meets business strategy. You also suggest at times limiting initial investment in software development, which goes against some conventional startup wisdom. So walk us through this approach. How do you help founders validate product market fit and even achieve pre-sales before writing production code and putting a lot of time into that part of it?
So that's another great question, and that's something. Now, as I'm in Australia, I see differences in how startups built and scaled in US versus Australia, which is very different markets and very different dynamics in how investors and companies approach it. So, for example, one of the challenges in Australia for startups is to secure early stage funding that forces them to really do a great job at building solid business models, validate the ideas, and build the solid businesses from day one, because otherwise they cannot reach that profitability level or secure funding down the line. Where in US, we have more investors that have high tolerance for risk and are more willing to throw money at the startups and see what sticks and which company become successful. So which leads to what I notice in Australia, companies having more well-defined business models by the time when they reach, let's say, 10 million in annual revenue. So that's a great indicator, and they already have a very well-established business model and company around it. So and that's what goes to your question, where startups that try to be lean in the beginning, as they build their businesses, build their software, it forces them, without spending too much money on overbuilding things, it forces them to focus on solving the most important things and be very strategic how they find the customers, getting the feedback, iterating, and not trying to do too many things at once. So, and that's why it may seem counterproductive when I say that you want to go lean in the beginning, but it actually great practice, because it allows, being in those constraints, founders can actually focus on solving the right things. And once they have the traction, once they have confirmation that the product that they're building is actually, there is a great demand for it, then that's when it makes sense to put more fuel in the fire, to add funding, to start scaling it faster.
Makes sense. Thank you. So I want to go back to one of your early answers. You gave a lot of insights, and I want to pluck some of those back out. So starting with MVPs. So first, for the people who may not know fully what that is, someone who's maybe thinking of starting a tech startup, if you can explain what an MVP is. And then also the question. So you've achieved success in pre-sales for MVPs before full development. In your opinion, how does the design process itself become a market validation tool? And what tech or methods do you use to test whether investors will actually pay for a product before it's fully built?
So MVP stands for the minimal viable product. And typically what it is the set of few core features that founders and the companies build out to test the assumption whether there is a need for their product, and make it very cost and time effective, so that way that they can get it into the hands of customers quickly, with the goal of getting feedback, testing different assumptions, whether customers wants to pay for it, whether the product is solving a real customer problem. And once those assumptions are validated, it's safe for startups to invest more money to continue scaling it, and whether by adding more features or adding more money to sales and marketing to onboard more customers.
And what tech or methods do you use to test whether investors will actually pay for a product before it's fully built?
So the best way is to go to people and ask for sale. So whether you have MVP that's functional, whether even you have proof of concept that could be, let's say, you use a no-code tool and you just build out part of the front end without fully functional backend behind it, right? But something that looks and feels as a real product. We also, in the past, we used clickable Figma prototypes that also, when you do them the right way, they look and feel as a finished product, because you can click through them, you can add interactive menus, but again, there is no functionality behind the scenes. But when you have something that visual that customers can actually see and explore, it gives them a great idea what you're building. And the best way to validate whether that's something customers want or need is to ask for sale, because at the end of the day, people can tell you, oh, this is amazing product, yes, you should build it. And it may be true, maybe there is a need, but a lot of times people just want to be nice. Maybe they want to get you off their back if you on a Zoom call with them. So they just want to say yes and move on. So, but the real test is when you ask for credit card. And if people are willing to give you money, that's the biggest indicator that you're on the right track. And in the early days, if you don't have a functional product, what you can do, you can ask for pre-sale, and you can offer. So in exchange for pre-sale, because it will take you some time to build the product to get into the hands of customers. But what you can do, you can offer them exclusive access, early access to the product. Maybe you can offer them a large discount. You can sell it as a lifetime license. So we work with the startups that use AppSumo to publish their products, sell lifetime licenses, generate sales, and use that money to fund the actual software development. So, but that's the key way how startup founders can validate the ideas early on.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I know there are varying examples of founders who will actually create ads for products that do not yet exist. And it's a great, we have to test that out. Related, we're hearing a lot about AI and low code, no code disrupting the space, allowing for faster MVP development and idea validation. So what are you hearing in this space, and how are these newer tech allowing faster development?
Yeah, there are so many platforms these days. As I mentioned, Lovable, Replit, Base 44. So I feel like there is something new popping every day. So those tools are great for quick prototyping, even building functional products. I've seen many sites and platforms that I built using it, right? So those tools are getting better. So every day you can build more and more robust products using that the products can be scaled, up to hundreds and thousands of users. So there is obviously advantages and disadvantages going with a no-code platform, right? So if you're thinking about enterprise-level systems, if you have high security standards, where you need to be compliant, right? You have data that needs to be secure and protected. So your best bet to go with a traditional development route and do the coding using the writing code from scratch. So, but if you build in something that's maybe less demanding from those standards, the no code is a great way to go, and it's democratizing space for founders and companies go in and start building their own products. So essentially, back in the day when we started getting those page builders like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, it gave a lot of business owners tools to independently go and build their websites, right? So it doesn't mean that the websites that they create will be the most best designed websites and they're going to win awards, but they now have websites, they're on the web, it gets the job done, right? So, and again, the same idea with no-code tools versus going custom software development route and hiring professional agency. You may get something with no code, you may get something that's good enough, again, job done. And when you're ready to take it to the next level, that's where you can upgrade and hire a professional agency to do more polished job, or hire agency also to help you with that quick prototyping with the no-code tools, and then continue expanding and continue building from there.
Thank you. Lots of good advice that will be in the transcript, thanks to one of those no-code tools that you mentioned that we'll put our transcript into.
We use those. Those are amazing for automation, proposal writing, just note taking, everything.
Massive time saver, right? Yeah. Yep. So from Australia to New York, Lena, you and I met during your time in Buffalo, New York, and I want to talk about some of your experiences here. You founded Girl Develop It in Buffalo, grew it to 900 members, organized hundreds of events, and now you're entrepreneur in residence at Launch New York. You're also involved as a co-founder of Evo Tech and Startup Community. Why is it important for you to create communities alongside your venture and advisory work?
I think at the end of the day, it's all about people, everything that we do, and community. People will always want to connect and find like-minded people. With so with the advance of social media, the last couple decades, I feel like the pendulum moved a little bit in the different directions where everybody jumped online. There's a lot of people just wanted to be online, consume information online. But now, as we're getting overload of technology, right? People are the trend that I'm seeing across different industries is people are returning back into the communities, and I see there are a lot of community-focused businesses are being, popping everywhere. Just not just in tech space, but coaching, mentoring, wellness, and communities become their own like sort of business. And and I see the companies, for example, I just saw the post on LinkedIn the other day where the company is in San Francisco right now. The startups are hiring almost like a community managers that can build a community around particular brand. And the reason why this shift is happening is, again, at the end of the day, it's all about the relationships between people and how they connect with each other, and having that support is important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. And for me, when I started in the tech space and when I moved to the US, I got a lot of support from people in Buffalo, and I wanted to pass that kindness on to others. The founders, the companies that are entering the space. So I've been mentoring and working with startups for many years. So right now I'm a mentor at Launch New York. I've also been a mentor at Founder Institute in Buffalo. I've been mentor at GBeta online accelerator program, and a couple others. So it's a great way to give back, meet interesting people, meet founders, and also help them to reach their goals faster and help them avoid those common mistakes that founders tend to make.
Great, thank you. And as a follow-up, what did you learn about inclusive design from these experiences? And can you explain what inclusive design means for those not familiar with the term?
Yes, inclusive design is a design approach that keeps in mind the needs of various types of users. So a lot of times as we design something, we only keep in mind our own goals and priorities and how we navigate applications. But then there are a lot of different types of users that may have certain limitations and disabilities that not always are being taken into account when designers create websites, apps, even just something as simple as having a proper contrast, proper size of the fonts that may exclude people with poor vision, right? So even basic things like that, we as designers, we want to keep in mind to make sure that when we create applications, they are inclusive. So people can access them not only from their phones, but they can also use screen readers, voice navigation, and other tools that allow people to access content.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so for those listening who may not know, last year I hired Forcoda and Lena to develop 2 website projects for me. So first of all, Lena, I want to thank you for the exceptional design work that you and your team delivered for both the TechXY and the Only Human website. The design process was agile, collaborative, and I felt we moved very quickly on a very small budget and went to market very quickly. So thank you for that. So anyone listening, considering a website, software project, can you walk through, what that process could look like and how you shift, flex it based on the founder you're working with, that person's experience, industry. So please, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for mentioning that. It was a fun projects that we did together. So we enjoyed working with you as well and helping you build the presence for TechXY and Only Human. So in terms of the process, how we normally approach it is we always start with business and founder needs in mind. So because on our team, we have this unique combination of skill sets. So we're not only developers or designers, but we also have the business and product expertise. So whenever we look at the project, we look at it from these 3 different angles. And we always want to understand what your business needs are, what your user needs are, and what problem you're solving. So that way, when we design or build something, the product aligns with business growth strategy, with the customer needs, and the features that we're building directly support that. So once we understand that direction, then we provide we come up with a technology strategy, right? So what would be the best technology approach for you to use? Because depending on the type of the project, is it going to be small? Is it going to be large? Is it going to be scaling to 100,000 users in the next 5 years? So all those components and requirements can inform the technical decisions, right? So whether we're doing no code, are we doing the custom mobile app? Is it the hybrid mobile app, right? So those things we can discuss and tailor to our client project needs. And then after that, we work on the design. Again, we want to make sure that we have user needs in mind. So if there are any unique aspects that we need to keep in mind, we incorporate that as well. And we'd also implement user and market research to make sure that we're not missing anything, and we can also leverage other companies' experiences and best practices, and then marry them with our own expertise and also our customer domain expertise. And then once we have the design that's polished, refined, we can also do a series of user testing sessions to make sure that before we go and build something, we showed it to the users, we got their feedback, we made any tweaks in the design phase, because it's more effective to change something while you have design versus when you have a completed application and now you want to change something that can cost you 10 times more versus if you change something on the design screen. So once the designs are polished up, that's where we take it to the development. We normally follow the 2-week sprint methodology. The customer every week we have meeting with the customer, they see the progress, they stay in the loop, they provide the feedback. So that way there is no unexpected things, there are no unknowns. So customer always in control of their process and provide the direct feedback as we build something. And once the product is completed, we do the thorough rounds of QA and testing to make sure that we catch the bugs and anything that maybe not, wasn't refined. And once the product is live, we continue monitoring and support it to make sure the applications are running stable and there are no issues and customers continue having that great support. And once the customer is, ready to scale, we're there to provide additional development for new features. We also provide recommendations for opportunities where they can grow and scale, and continue supporting our customers in that strategic perspective. Yeah.
So this year you launched a venture arm of Forcoda called Forcoda Ventures with your business partner, Gaizel Akaiva. what problems did you see founders repeatedly struggling with that led you to create this new Forcoda Ventures?
So a few different challenges that we help companies to solve. So when it comes to scaling, so that's one of our areas of focus, helping companies to early stage companies to scale. So we help them position for growth from technology perspective, from go-to-market perspective. So a lot of times what we see, companies think too small, or they don't see all the different opportunities that exist. So they might not see the best path forward, how to scale. So that's where we come into play, helping them to identify those opportunities, become the strategic growth partners. And on the technology side, helping companies to get organized on their tech and processes, because what we've seen, the companies raise funding, they start hiring a ton of developers, but CEO and CTO may be too busy focusing on sales and other priorities. So team just gets too disorganized, like a bunch of abandoned kids. And what we do, we come in on board, we help to establish best development practices, best processes, maximize the use of budget and reduce the burn rate or any time that's spent on redoing features and bottlenecks. So we're essentially helping to streamline this whole development processes so that we will also maximizing or helping investors be confident that the money are well spent and not just being wasted on the extra development hours. So, and then for the companies that we're working overseas that want to enter the American market, so we act as a key player, key contact that helps them to open the doors, establish the presence, navigate the intricacies of US, legal, hiring systems, even, strategy to taking product to market, sales strategies. How you sell in the US could be very different how you sell in Australia, for example. So US is more aggressive approach. Australians, for example, tend to be more less pushy. So helping companies enter the US market, and not just from Australia, but we're open to working with companies from other areas entering the US. So, but yeah, helping them to navigate that those intricacies is where we can help.
Great, excellent. So one of the things that we've developed organically on the show, we like to ask AI a question about our guests. So fed in some background, and here's what it came up with. As AI and low-code and no-code platforms proliferate, what will separate products that succeed from those that fail in an era where the technology itself becomes easier and easier to build?
Yeah, so with the advancements of AI, more and more companies have less defensible moat around it, right? What that means is that these days you can go write the product requirements, put them in the AI no-code tool, and you can replicate your competitor's software pretty much within a couple of days. So, but the main differentiator that stays unique is the people behind the screens, people that are building those products. And that's something that experienced understanding of the market, how to scale the products, how to sell them, how to acquire customers. That's something that you cannot replicate just yet. So having that expertise, or bring in right partners on board that can help you to take your technical product and sell it, find the right partnerships, have the right strategy, how to get in the front of the customers, so that way you can be faster than your competitors as you, for example, rolling out the product to the market. So those key differentiators would be important. Also fundraising, if you can secure funding that can also help you move faster with your product. So that would be key components that differentiate great products that succeed in the current fast-moving market versus the products that lag behind.
Great, thank you. Lena, it's been great having you on the show on TechXY Turbo. Where can listeners connect with you and learn more about you and your services?
Well, I am on all social media So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is I am Lena Levine. I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. So if you search for Lena Levine, you can find me there. And you can also reach out to us through our website, forcoda.com. And happy to answer any questions that listeners may have.
Great. Thanks so much, Lena. Thank you for coming to us all the way from Australia.
Thank you, Frank.